Tabletop. Free to play, all of the power, none of the cost.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh. I'm a resident artist at Smiteworks.
And I'm Joseph. I'm customer support for Fantasy Grounds VTT. I test modules before they hit the store, and I'll be designing encounters for Waypoints, which is what we're going to be displaying today. And basically what a Waypoint is, it's a modular drop-in scenario for Fantasy Grounds VTT. Each one will be like a complete encounter, and it should fit into any campaign. We're going to make them pretty generic. I'm planning to design them for about 30 minutes to fill in any type of gaps in, your adventure, or, maybe even a little one-shot adventure. But 30 minutes, even though that's my goal in my experience, sometimes 30 minutes ends up lasting a little bit longer than that, so you might get a little bit more out of it. And I pretty much plan to have 3 scenes. You'll have an introduction, a middle encounter, and that increases the challenge, and then the big bad. For now, it'll probably be D&D 5e, Pathfinder 2e, and Savage Worlds. We have Josh that is going to give us a little sneak peek into what it looks like.
Yeah, so not only are these designed to kind of fill in an encounter group or some sort of gap, like as Joseph said in the campaign, we're really focusing on the art of them as well and being very immersive and also quite usable maps, right? We're going to really experiment with these in the 2.5D realm. So not only do you get these great like top-down, but they also transition exceptionally well into the camera mode. With this, we're also going to be putting out new art for the different encounters that it might be. One of the first areas that we decided to make was a Red Dragon's Lair. And so that being a very iconic location and giving rise to lots of visual elements, it was pretty obvious that we should start there. So here are some of the images that I created for some of the encounter. We have a red dragon, drake, and then 2 types of kobolds here. They're all in a similar art style. They come with top-down and stand-up tokens, and also a token ring. And these can easily be augmented and changed around, so you could make stuff right on the fly, even if you wanted to, inside of Fantasy Grounds. So you can use all of these in addition to, but they will be already set up and ready to go right inside. So did you want to talk about the encounter a little bit, Joe?
Yeah, and these encounters that I set up, you can easily switch them up and change them a little bit. But, I planned on having, a couple of kobold casters in the back and, some of the kobolds up front. And I'm thinking along some of the lines where, those casters maybe even buff up the frontline fighters. So you give some players a little bit of something to think about. Do they want to go and attack the ones in the back, or do they want to take out the ones in the front? And also the second encounter, we want it to be a little bit beefier, where you have the drakes, and give the players a little bit more challenge, and of course end up with the big bad dragon in the end. And we plan to have it. Can you show like what the map actually looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the cool things that we can do now in these environments is use and take advantage of this new skyboxes. So inside of this environment, what I've created is this lava-filled cavern for the actual encounter to take place. And if we kind of pan around here, you can see that the skybox is actually used to give that feeling of this cavernous area that goes on far beyond what it might actually be. And we have this nice little play area right here, which will work exactly as you'd anticipate as the map would. So you have not only this visual aspect of depth, but you have these nice particle effects and fire, and this is all transitioned very easily. So what you do is you have these different abilities to change the camera mode. And here we have a pretty normal top-down map. And yes, this is very tactical. We have the rock formations and everything looks as though it should. We still even have some of these fire elements and particles going on for a little bit of ambiance. And we also have some effects layers moving the lava around. And with just a click of a button, we can transform into this amazing location that not only brings in a little bit more immersion, but it also gives us a little bit more of a tactical way of viewing things, because this is going to allow us to take height into account. And I can demonstrate that. I set up a couple of encounters here, and this should immediately just load right in here. And here, what we have is an instant setup of these creatures. And we can really easily just move over to one of these NPCs, and we can raise this up. So we can make this look as though these are all things perched on these rocks. And this gives us another tactical level to the immersion factor, as well as the ability to switch between the two modes. And you can see here, everything is going to be just like you would expect it to be in a normal situation.
So I think that this would be something that GMs would probably really like to have, because a lot of times setting up encounters, it takes a long time. And something like this, you could just drop in anywhere, and your players will probably think that you spent a lot of time on their game. Even, of course, unless they know you bought it from Fantasy Grounds, but
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on their game.
yeah, I think you said you stayed up pretty late. Had a lot of late hours setting this whole encounter up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Once the making the art assets is obviously always going to be the longest period, and during that process, you formulate in your head. There's this marriage between how am I going to use this asset? I like what's it. I want it to look like this, but it's got to be unified within the entire display, right? Like, so it's a collection of images, and they all have to work together well. And during that process, you're kind of bouncing back and forth between the environment and the assets, like tweaking this to change this, and that's probably, obviously the longest part of the entire thing. Actually getting in here now that the assets are done and building the maps are insanely fun. So not only going to get these, but it's going to come with all of the art assets. So if you want to change something, if you want to make something your own, you can remove anything that's in here. So this is just going to be a module that people can actually get in, manipulate the image. Everything that I do is made right inside of Fantasy Grounds. So these are actually like painting layers. So people can get in and you can change the shape of this landmass by just a couple of clicks. Everything is very modular. All of these different rocks, everything is all set up for you. You just have to grab them and just use them right in the map itself.
And I like that what we're starting with is, they're going to be generic. So even no matter what you're playing, whether you're playing Pathfinder, Savage Pathfinder, these type of things, or D&D, it fits because they all have drakes, they all have dragons. It's something that it's a time filler if you want, and it's going to be impressive. Someone asked about the skyboxes in the back. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So the Skybox is a new feature that Carl had put in for us. It's located in the lighting. So once you unlock your image record here, you'll have access to all of these tools on the side. Under the lighting tab here, you'll see that you have a whole list of lighting options, and this is for placing lights around. And you can see that in this actual element itself, right, in the lava, I use several lights to give it this glowing kind of feeling, which is why it seems very dark. It is actually dark in here. You could use a character with lighting to move around in here. This is actually a dark area, so the light from the lava doesn't penetrate into this area. So it's kind of a fun little thing. There's actual mechanical advantages to the way that we put this together inside of Fantasy Grounds that I don't think that you could get from an exterior application. And what we're doing now is we have this sub-tab in the lighting area here, which is for our panoramic sky, our skybox. And so what this is, it's actually treat it more like a sphere. You have to use a rectangular image, and but it completely wraps around. And I can show you this better in another example here. So I'm just going to minimize that, and let's go into our city alley here. Now this is a kind of a different representation, but in the same kind of style, right? So you can see how much the feeling of the environment is so paramount by the lighting, the atmosphere. It's all cumulative in these wonderful experiences. And I think that this kind of level of immersion, I don't think you're going to get this anywhere else. And so here we have another skybox, and here we have a nice sky, so you can look around. You can pan around to all the different areas that might be off in the distance. And that is just the backdrop even. So there's so much that you can do now with these skyboxes. And all it is, it's an image record, just like everything else. So if we go into our lighting, we go here, you can see you have this area right in here, and you can drag and drop pretty much anything you want right inside of there. It does recommend that you go with a ratio of 2:1. So you want it to be twice as wide as it is tall. And then the way that you actually design that, it's a little bit interesting because you want the majority of your image in the middle, and then it kind of fades off from there. So yeah, it's a very super cool feature. It only exists in the camera mode. And so if we look from top down, you can see we just have this black area out and around. So
One of the things that I planned for this this map, just imagine your players are chasing somebody. You can be in the city, and a purse is grabbed. Simple little encounter, chase scene, something, and then they come into this area, and you pop this on them, and there's other cut purse, other thugs there waiting for them to start this combat off. And in the background, you have maybe the leader sitting there watching the fight. And then once you dispatch all those, then you have a second wave come in. But lastly, then you would have to deal with that
yeah,
the boss thug.
yeah, absolutely. So again, here you have elevation and the visual representation of that elevation, which is so hard to do from a top-down perspective. And I think also, like, you have the ability to switch back and forth between the two modes. Not only can you use the tactical advantage of the top-down mode, but then in this scenario here, as we switch to the camera mode, other things can be revealed that couldn't not easily be done. So you can have like certain doors that are visible, or things written on walls, or any number of different theatrical kind of events that really take the storytelling, right? So most of the storytelling can be done in these little encounters from just the visual elements, right? You don't need a whole lot of verbiage. You don't need the environments kind of speak for themselves.
Yes. And I could see this scene too, like with our environments. How does this look with rain?
Well, I don't have any rain set up for this.
Oh,
The
okay. Okay.
way that the system works is that we have two types of elements in here. So we do have effects layers, but those only work on the same plane as our floor, right? There's no way to take the effects layers and put them up this way. However, we can do some really cool stuff, and there probably will be some rain coming that we can use in this type of environment. And that's done with animated elements. So anyone who doesn't know this, we can use animated things inside of Fantasy Grounds. As you could see before, in that red dragon environment, the embers floating around, the fire, all of that stuff. So I kind of came up with a cool little trick for doing like air particles and making it seem more 3D. And so placing those things into these environments, you can do all kinds of amazing effects.
Can you go back to the dragon one and show? Because before you had showed me some of the things that you could do with like the embers and the floating.
Yeah,
And
in fact, there's I didn't put anything in this one, and I thought this might be a good environment we could drop something in and kind of show how that kind of works. So
okay,
inside of the layers tab, we have the object, and this has been in Fantasy Grounds for a little while now. This is what is called on in this 3D environment, right? This 3D space. It has two elements. It has a front and the top. The top, so you can have one image that is the top and will only be shown in the top-down mode. And then you can have another image, which is this kind of stand-up. Now, all of these things are just billboards, right? They're flat. But the think of it more like a stage. And so what you're doing is you're setting this environment up like a stage and creating these scenarios where the actors are basically the players and the NPCs. And by using these kind of like billboard systems, we can put together a whole bunch of different stuff here. So I'm just going to click on this and let's get some, let's say animated. And this is going to pull up all of the things that we've officially released that is animated. So here we have some like air particles and so on and so forth. So let's do, I think we'll do this dust. So I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to drag it. Oh, I don't want it on the top. I want it on the front. So we're going to do this one. And what I'm going to do is now that this is set to the front, I will just darken this up. I'm going to hold R, G, and B, and I'm going to use my mouse wheel to darken it so we can see that there. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And you can see that there's some particles floating around there. That's the preview of what I got of the actual element there. And I can use my control and mouse wheel to control the size of it. I'm going to make it a static image, which means that it's not going to rotate towards the eye or the camera. And I'm going to put a 2 into here. What that's going to do is going to make a intersecting object that is one flat plane going this way and one going that way. And then I can just stamp this right in there. And you can see here we've created a new element. And now we have little particles floating around.
nice. Can you place just a couple of tokens, player tokens on the scene so people can see what that look like? I don't know if you have any pre-made or not.
I think there is actually. So I'll put them in the combat tracker.
We had Evod Gamer asking if you could do that, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, you have full functionality. Everything is exactly as you'd expect. And then we could even grab this guy. And this, you can move this around with the arrow keys or drag them.
And you can go in perspective of the player and various different things like that.
Yeah. So if you click on you'll get the option to view mode to a token, and you can actually see from what the token should be able to see.
I set something up once in this particular view where I had a Colossus because I'm testing Daggerheart, and the players was so tiny, and it puts the whole game in a different perspective, and you can see
Yeah.
how massive something is in this perspective.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I ran into the exact same issue, especially doing maps based off of a 5-foot square. So you think about it, 1 square as being 5 foot and 2 as being 10 feet. And you think about the real world, right? 10 feet is a substantial distance.
Right.
But when I was creating image assets and when we went into this view, I had to really reconfigure the way that I was making the art assets because I had everything was like 10 feet tall. Like these doors that were like massive. And I was like, that I have to figure out where that the playability versus the visual representation of it. You got to find that balance in there.
Yeah, I felt that the first time you set up something like this for us when we were playing Shadow Dark, and
Right.
yeah, I was like, how could I think everybody should probably want to play like this, at least if anything at all, just so your players can see to get that visual of what it looks like, and then you can come with the top down for tactical play and different things like this. But this is a nice, like wow factor for your players.
All right. So now we're going to go to the cemetery, and this is my actual favorite one.
All right.
And so here we have a spooky cemetery scene. We have this kind of like what I did was I actually looked at movie sets and scenes from like old black and white horror movies from like the B movies from like the 50s and before, and where they have this like almost like a spotlight in these cemeteries, and everything around it is dark, but you have these ambient kind of lighting things. And so I went with that kind of approach. We have this nice little area in here, the moon background with lots of dark silhouettes. This is my favorite. I love this area.
Yeah, and I got a flashback to when I saw Night of the Living Dead as a kid, the black and white. But
Yeah,
yeah, I love this.
I have some like bugs flying around.
Hmm.
We have some cool little ghostly wisps coming around a couple of the gravestones. Dead trees, obviously, and little bits of grass. And then I have this like slow moving, almost like ground fog going across. So yeah, this is my favorite.
Drake takes us. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Drake.
He asks, do we have any Skybox images already in FG?
You can use them now. Yes, there's no official products that have come out yet that have them in it.
Okay. And we also, Gemini Monka, he said anchors on the walls. He said, can you put anchors on the wall? Not 100% sure with that. It was on the last map.
Oh yeah, you could put any image you want to on the walls.
It's probably image anchors or archers. Archers, sorry.
Oh yeah, you can put archers and then you can put
Yeah,
them
of course.
at the appropriate height.
Sorry. Sorry, sorry. Reading is fundamental, but yeah, archers. Yeah, that would be simple.
So yeah, I really feel like this whole series of products that's going to be coming out just is really going to just capture the feeling of these environments.
And also, do skyboxes have to be in a certain format? I'd recommend the WebP, but what do you say, Josh?
WebP is definitely going to be the smallest, and I found that you want to go with like a larger size file for them. So yeah, WebP, but it'll handle any image that we support. You can put in there. So you could even do animated WebPs or WebMs. So you could have animated skyboxes as well.
All right. And I was thinking for this scene, I think I might have like a cult scene where you start this off with fighting some cultists and, go into the next scene. Probably they would conjure up some undead, but in the back, you would have like a necromancer doing a ritual. And I want the players to see it so they know that they want to get to this point and stop it. But of course, they have the different obstacles in front of them. Yeah, I see Drake. He says a ritual with a portal or something animated, and that's pretty much what I'm hoping for. Maybe have some type of barrier to where they can't get immediately to the necromancer while he's doing his ritual. On this scene, do you have particle effects in there? I thought I saw some. Yeah, I can see them floating around in the background.
Yeah, I have lots of subtle ones, and then I have like these things. Now, once with the screen effects and all the things that are coming out, like I think that that's going to be so fun to play in these little encounters.
Can you show them some of the I mean, it might look a little weird, but like when you're showing me the different whirlwinds and different effects that you can do.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff. Um, so in this kind of top down versus the 2.5D mode here, it's really interesting the way it's kind of working out because finding all of these different ways that you can experiment with stuff, especially like animated. So if you take something that has a bit of transparency and you have some motion in here, I'm just gonna put this down. We'll put it in the middle. So here we have this new element in here. I'm going to go into the edit mode. And clicking on this, right now it is set so that it always faces the viewer. And we can do that. Right now it's just in horizontal, right, axis. If I go up and I look down on it, it's not going to keep following me unless I click this button as well. But as we come down into this area here, right, looking at this, I'm going to make it static now, and now it only faces one direction, right? It's like a billboard. But we can increase the intersections of it, right? So we can do two of them. And now what that is that one's going horizontal. I mean, one's going like in the X and one's going in like the Z, unless Z is up. And then we can do, let's say something like, 900.
Hmm.
And now we're getting into some really weird territory. But you can make some really cool effects. And things are,
So
getting
original
really
mission.
bizarre.
Yeah, so things like this that you're showing, I can see people's wheels turning, thinking of, various different things. And I'm interested to see what people would do with something like this. Um,
Absolutely.
I see when we're talking about the ritual circle, Sphinx, Sphinster 77 said you can add a ritual circle that is masked and each round bring up the opacity until it's clearly visible. I mean, I think that's great. For my end, when I design these encounters, I'll keep things simple because I don't want to make things complicated. I want it to be something that anyone can pick up and play. But FG vets that know about the different tricks and things in the background, they can then take what I presented and build upon it and change it and make it their own. Um, let's see, original Mr. Ty, maybe I missed it, but are these animated assets included in the art subscription pack? Is a question.
Okay, so yes, in the art subscription, there's a bunch of animated things. These waypoints are also going to be included in the art subscription. So not only are you going to get the regular art pack for the month, but you'll also get these. The way it's going to work is I'm going to be making an art pack that coincides with the waypoints, and that way that there's like some cohesion there. And so yes, all of these animated elements that you see, anything that I create, you're going to have access to with the art subscription. So,
All right.
and there are already a bunch of animated assets out there. You just have to do a search and put in the word animated.
All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to show off today?
Well, we have all of these new environments. We have, and as I said before, we're going to be doing actual NPC art for all of the different NPCs that are going to be included in the encounters, as well as token frames. Oh, you know what we should do? We should just go over really quickly the usage of a token frame and how you can make a token inside of Fantasy Grounds.
Yes. Yes. I think people would love to see that.
And that's super easy to do. Let's see. Oh, that's Red Dragon layer. Let's close that down. So what we're going to do here, and this is like super easy. I'm just going to go into my layers. Most of this is going to be done drag and drop, except for maybe like a one painting layer. But I'll just grab this new token frame that I made, and then we'll do one of these guys. Let's do this guy. And I actually don't want it to be like that. I'm going to have to paint him out, and I'm going to do it in a circle here. And the reason why I'm going to do that this way is so that I can actually cut out parts of the image that I don't want it to show. And with a new painting layer here, I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt, and that's going to allow me to kind of pull out a circle here. And I understand that it's not going to show it up correctly yet, because we're going to move it into where we want it to be, and then we're going to size it appropriately. So as you can see here, inside of the edit fill area, we have some different controls here. Now, control and the mouse wheel will scale the image, and so we can get it to whatever size we want it to be. So maybe something like this. I'm going to drop it under the token, so maybe something like that. Now you can do all of the different elements that you want to with this. You can, if you want to, move into this area, and you can add and remove and change things around. So if you want certain elements to be outside of, like if you want this fire to be outside of the, if I can click on that. There you go. You know, it's all done for you.
Yeah,
And
I love when people do that with tokens.
yeah, so we can do the same thing with his hand, because that would make sense, right? So we can do that, and maybe we'll just do his sleeve too. And we don't have to do the whole staff, but maybe we'll bring it down to like there. And then what we can do is we can just move this stuff up so that this is going to be tucked right up against that. And maybe we want to grab this out. So I can select more than one here and drag this stuff out. And you can see that this requires like very little artistic skill. You're basically just moving these little points around. And there you go. You've cut out that image and you made a perfect token. You can add something in the background and so on. Once all of that stuff is completed, you can add in other images. So if you have like some other images you want to, or you could do even text with it. So if you want to have specific elements, use the text tool. All of these things will be able to be exported. You can even use, let's say we want to do additional varieties of these guys, right? So I might export this one just by pushing the export image to file button. Or I might use an adjust colors layer. And what I'm going to do here is let's make this a little bit more blue and maybe, well, let's do something like that, right? You're going to think like, oh, yeah, I've colored the entire thing, but I'm going to add a mask to this. And because I've just added a mask to this, what I can do is now I can draw out areas where I want it to affect. So let's say we do it like this, and then I can blur out those edges a little bit, and we can do some nice color variations. And all of this is being done right inside of Fantasy Grounds. We can even change these colors. So if we want, we could darken up some areas. And maybe we'll and then we can draw in some additional elements here. We could change the color of his robes and so on.
If I didn't see you doing this, I wouldn't have imagined if you did this within Fantasy Grounds.
Yeah.
I would have thought
You
you did it in Photoshop.
And there, we've altered this one. We might want to do something different. You can do multiple layers of this, and this will all get exported. So when you hit this export, this is going to pop right out and do it. So let's see here. All we have to do now is hit this button. You guys are not going to see this because it's going to pop up here outside of the streaming process. And I can save that. Now looking into my assets here, and inside of here, I just refresh that. And there it is. No, that's not the one. That's not the one. Where did I save it to? Oh, I might have saved it to the campaign, actually. Yeah, there it is.
I like it. Evil Gamer. I'm always amazed watching Josh, and I feel the same way, especially watching like the streams they used to do. Yeah. I think
Yeah, so
that's.
do we have any questions that anybody have any?
I've looked through, like, I was kind of reading the questions as we went along, but if anybody else has any questions, ask us now.
Oh, one thing that we should discuss is quickly. Let me, I'll go back to the cemetery and let's, with the skybox turned off, you can see that you don't really need to use a skybox if you don't wish to in these environments. I wanted to make that totally clear. So for example, and you can see that this still looks like super cool. The background color is going to be controlled by your ambient light. So if you go back into your lighting, if we turn this on, you can see that it's obviously here, but turning it off and switching over to your ambient light, you can see that this is being controlled by that. So by manipulating this, we can actually control that background color.
I liked it when you first showed it without the skybox. I really like that because it reminded me of like a super foggy area.
Yeah, and look at how much the mood changes.
Hmm.
And the way that we're designing these, you can actually see here, like looking down on the environment, it's kind of like a little island. Trying to get away from doing like those square, rigid sections, and
Right.
it kind of feels a little bit more natural. Like it spans off into the distance. You're just not exactly sure where the borders are. So it gives a little bit of leeway on some of the play, I think.
And Brandon Waters 1268 asks, is animated tokens a possibility within this? And that is a yes. And we had Spencer 77, and he plans on bringing back the Saturdays with you, Josh, even a monthly month.
Currently, there's no plans to do an official stream.
And do we know, EDU TV, is this will this be heavy network for PC or load, or will it be fast for other players to see the changes?
Yeah, it's going to be exactly the same. So this is live. This is in the live version. So this is all able to be done right now in Fantasy Grounds. This is just the product line that's coming out to showcase best practices for inside of these environments and for an easy, quick drop in. But yeah, so it works exactly the same.
And for those who missed it, can you show them how to like navigate this? Because I think there's some new viewers that came in. Because I've had players accidentally find this view.
Yeah, so the easiest way to do this is to you have this little drop-down toggle toolbar button. Clicking this on will give you access to these buttons. And right here is a camera button. And you can see here, let's switch to the top-down view of this map. All I have to do is press this button again to go back into this mode. Now, if you open this up, you can also see that there's a view type here, and this does exactly the same thing. And you also have a button for, if you have a selected character, you can do the token view, which is going to see things from the view of the token. You can see if you're this big monster, you're going to be looking down on everything, which I think is just so cool. It's actually kind of like from the eyes of the creature.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you want the skybox to be on or off, and you can see it all works exceptionally well. And I actually been using a lot of it in the background mode. This has been my new favorite way for my maps to be.
And like Josh said earlier, all of this view is available now within Fantasy Grounds. Mainly what we've been talking about today is what we're calling waypoints. And a lot of these assets, it'll be in waypoints so that you as a GM, you'll just have all the stuff pre-made for you, and that's what we'll be selling in the store. But if you have your own assets, you can set all this stuff up now if you like. And I don't see any more questions. Any last questions? Let's see. Another one. So those rock up risings aren't part of the skybox. They're just this is a question. They're just local view facing images.
Yeah, so all of these are individual objects, the 3D objects. And you can see, as you can see, they are like billboards.
Yeah, I like to think of this as like a stage.
Exactly.
You know, like a play. And you're presenting to your players.
Right. And so what we're actually doing, I think, especially playing from this mode, it really feels a lot more like I'm at a table.
Right.
Yeah, you know, because you're kind of looking at it, and then it feels like you have these props around, except that you have the convenience of doing this in this digital environment where you can manipulate things so much easier. So yeah,
And
so all of these like embers coming up, the fire elements, all of it is just 2D assets.
and when they buy these waypoints, the encounters will be just for, the system that it's built for, but all the assets, will they be able to use those for other games?
Yeah, absolutely. They are completely independent. And so any of these assets can be used anywhere you want inside of the system.
All right. Yeah, it seems like questions are starting to trickle in a little bit here. Drake takes, I can definitely see using this in Fallout.
Yeah. Oh, one thing too is it's super easy to change. So if you want to change the way the environment feels, um, you can take any one of these maps, make you can duplicate it and make any sort of alterations you want to, and make tons of different variations like super easily. So if you wanted to turn this from lava into, let's say, some sort of toxic green, it'd be super easy to do. The way that I set them up, everything is going to be put into categories, and everything will be clearly labeled. So all of your particles. So if you ever want to turn off your particles, it's just a simple click. If you want to turn off the fire, it's just a simple click.
Let's see. Jason Kemp asks, will players have to purchase their own versions of these assets like they have to do with dice packs? Well, this is mainly for GMs to
Hmm.
present to players.
Yeah. So no, they will not.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any other questions. So if there aren't any other questions, then I think that'll be it. Do you have anything else, Josh?
No, I don't think so. I think that that pretty much covers it. We're super excited about this whole series. I'm super excited. I'm really pouring everything into them. I think that they're going to be uh, a huge addition to what we already have. And I think that the experience is really going to, yeah, I think it's going to be top notch.
Yeah, the same. I run weekly. I run like 3 weekly games, and I'm excited to use them in my games. And if my players aren't watching this, they'll be surprised when they see some of these in the games that I run. But if there aren't any other questions, that's all we have for today. Happy gaming, and catch you guys later.